But yeah,
Oh,
at the round table, hello family. We are back. We are here, and it's a Wednesday, and it has been a
already.
day already. I'm telling you, like the spring forward,
Hmm.
it seems like the week springed forward. Now, I mean, I'm not complaining. Not complaining. I'm just saying it. I need a little moment to get adjusted to the time. You know.
Oh man, it's like that every year for me. I need about a month before my body finally adjusts to it. But the net it's good. It's good to acknowledge that spring is around the corner with that doing that.
Right, right, right. How you doing, A Money?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I see we already got people chiming in already. Hey, Latasha.
Hey, Miss Carson.
Yes, yes. But
How
I'm
you
good.
doing? She had a injury, so
Oh,
let us know. Give us an update. Let us know how you doing.
yeah. Please do. But other than that, Melly Mel, I'm doing all right. For the most part. I think it's the day St. Patrick's Day.
It is.
On her. All these little holidays are flying past, and I'll be forgetting. I thought I heard somebody mention it in passing.
Well, that's not one that I celebrate. I
Mm-hmm.
have taken part in celebrations when I lived in Pittsburgh, with real Irish or Irish descent people,
Mm-hmm.
and it was an experience. It was fun, but that's not
Mm-hmm.
something that I celebrate. I see it and acknowledge it when those do, but I don't participate in it. So it came in and is gone for me.
Yes, yes, I hear you with that. Our little bar hops and everything that's
Mhm.
accompanied it. I've never been a big fan of it that much anyway. I can do that at home.
The energy and the vibe is really great, fun. I mean, it's just a whole bunch of drunks,
Mm.
and they're doing their thing. So it's cool for me just to say, hey, you know what? I experienced that, and I'm okay. Pittsburgh is full of has a very large Irish or Irish descent population. So
Mm.
literally one side of our town shuts down. The bars are open from like 6 in the morning until the next day.
Oh
So
wow.
you can imagine what that looks like. And it was fun. It was fun. At some point, I was like, okay, I'm good. And I'm going home.
Yeah.
Charlie Tooth is in on the house. Hey,
Hey, hey, Charlie. Yeah, so Tasha, happy St. Patty to you as well.
she said, I'm black. Charlie Tooth says she's black Irish.
What's going on, family? What's going on?
Hey man.
All right, all right, all right. So, y'all, guess what? We have a special guest that is going to get ready to join us on that Roundtable podcast show. So, hold on one second. I'm going to bring him in and we're going to make these amazing introductions. Hold on one second. There he is.
Hey, 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 how y'all doing? Can you hear me? Can you see me?
We can hear you.
Oh
We
yeah.
can see you, Mr. Woods.
Okay,
Hello.
we
Yes,
locked
yes,
in.
yes. Yeah, I'm a bit disappointed. I'll tell
Uh,
you in a minute.
I know why. I know what he's
You
going
know
to
why,
say.
sis?
I
You
know
know
what
why?
he's going to say.
Yeah, you know what I'm
You
about to
know
say.
what he's going to say. You know what he's going to say.
Yeah, but before I do, let me go ahead and shake up and some things. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go ahead and put my sis up here so she can be right next to the man of the hour this evening. I get to introduce Pitbull in the dress, Melissa Bartlett, Adrian A Money Biddle. Why do we call him A Money?
Because he is our fact checker. He's our fact bringer. And when he does it, you can bank on it.
Bank on. Yes, indeed. And last but
Yes,
not least, I
thank you.
get to introduce this amazing individual that Miss Robinson as well as Miss Watts have brought to our table. It is Mr. Jeremiah Bowtie Woods. Now you know where I'm going with this.
Hey,
I mean, we can
welcome,
change it up
welcome.
right now. I can turn this necktie into a bow tie. There's
Hey,
nothing to
and that's they say that you are the fashion aficionado as well. So that's why I had to go ahead and throw out that shameless plug.
it. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There's nothing to it but to do it.
There you go. There you go. Thank you for joining us on that The Roundtable Podcast Show. Family, I'm going to do a little bit of housekeeping while y'all are chit-chatting, because we got a lot of people that are joining in and such. So y'all go ahead and keep vibing, and we'll go ahead and get to the meat of the matter.
Huh. Well, Mr. Woods, we appreciate you joining us today. Before we get real in depth in why we got you on today, been doing a little bit of research on you. I heard that you like to grill and bake.
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm glad to be on the show. But yeah, I love grilling. I love baking. It's one of my self-care habits, if you will. So yeah, I love it, man.
Oh, we got to have that. Self-care is real relevant right now. What's one of your favorite dishes that you like to bake?
One of my favorite dishes. Okay, so I love salmon. I do a grilled salmon. I do grilled trout. Recently I did I really love this one. It was a lemon pepper salmon. And we did it on tacos. We did it with tacos. So man, I just do all kind of stuff, man. I gets down in the kitchen. Just something to do, something to relax, and I enjoy myself. I try all kind of crazy stuff. We did I did grilled macaroni and cheese, man.
What?
Grilled yellow rice. we get down, man. We get down.
That's what I'm talking about.
I like
I
to
just
hear
want
that.
to say this. Okay, I haven't eaten yet. So look,
Well, if it was in, I say it like this:
it's
it
close to
wasn't
dinner time.
good. How about that?
No, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. What's your favorite baked goods that you like?
Favorite baked goods, I would say, for me to make, I like making cookies. For others, they enjoy, like for my son's birthday, I always do some type of cake. My favorite is red velvet cake. I love red velvet cake.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
I don't need the nuts and none of that neither. Just give me the cake and the buttercream or the whipped icing on it, and that's it. We ain't got to do a whole lot of extra. That get it done right there.
I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. Let's skip past that. Let's get past the appetizers and get right to the meat of stuff.
There we go. There we go.
That's what I'm talking about.
I like that. I like that. Yeah, I'm a fellow cook as well, so I feel you whenever you can get in there and just create and stuff.
Yeah.
And like you said, you don't need all that other stuff. Just right here.
Right there.
Matter of fact, Mel, weren't we just talking about desserts not too long ago? And we were talking about it was around Thanksgiving, just to let you know, as far as what is the item that you really look forward to whenever you go to a Thanksgiving dinner or feast or whatever. And we were talking about the cakes and stuff and the sweet potato pies, gotta have that one that just got the nice little crust and just
it got a little like it got glass on it. Like if it ain't shining,
it ain't shining.
It ain't sweet enough for me.
No, we can't eat that.
You keep on, you keep that.
Yeah.
They ain't do it right.
That's right. That's right.
Oh,
shouts out to Robert
stomach grappling.
I know, right? How do we get on food and we were here to talk?
Because our guest is a Renaissance man. If you did your research, this man has fashion. He has passion. He has a cause. He has a purpose. And he feeds you. He can dress you, feed you, your stomach and your soul. I mean, come on now. I mean, what we gonna do?
Threat. He's a quadruple threat.
Yes.
You got to be qualified out here. You got to be qualified. You got to bring something to the table, as they say.
That's right.
That's it. That's it. So, man, let's talk about the organization, because what you're doing is very instrumental, especially in today's day and age. And it's ironic, with us having, International Women's Month that is going on. I thank Tangi and I thank She for bringing you to the table, because I think this is something that really needs to be discussed. Yeah. And people need to know more about your organization, how they can be a part of it, and just know the facts, And I'm not going to get into the facts because fact checker is Mr. A Money. But let's talk about your organization.
Okay, yeah. So the Hands Off Foundation is a nonprofit organization that focuses on helping women and children who've been affected by sexual assault. Our mission is to create a community that will not stand for 28 million women a year being affected by some type of sexual assault in their lifetime. And so what that means when I talk about building a community is I mean that very literally. Raising funds, buying land, building property where we can take care of your mind, body and soul, because I do think it's important to give women and children a safe place to live, work, and grow.
Oh, I see Mel. She's thinking.
Yeah,
Go ahead, sis.
yeah,
No,
I'm
no,
not
yeah.
able
no.
to
Go
jump
ahead,
in.
man.
No, no, no,
Yeah.
no, 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 no. So first of all, anyone that knows me, they know that I have certain things that I'm really passionate about, and victims of any type of sexual abuse or misconduct is something that I am very passionate about.
Uh-oh. She may have froze up, so you may have to repeat it.
I'm back. We as women,
Okay.
um, am I back, you guys?
Yes,
Yes,
you
you
You're
good.
are.
back. You're back.
We as women and unfortunately children especially have been victimized and objectified as far as just something that we can do, have uh, to do whatever you want. And it is organizations like Mr. Woods that, number one, keep the awareness that this is not something that's just happening to you, it's happening to multiple people.
Mm-hmm.
And that there is a place for you to go. There is a place that you can get help when you're ready. I am a survivor. I am a advocate for it, and do not tell or try to make someone feel guilty because they waited to say anything. What happened to me between the ages of 8 and 10, and it was a
Right.
Mother's Day. I called my mom and was like telling her Happy Mother's Day, and it's like something just broke, and I told her I was
Mm.
32 years
Wow.
old.
Wow.
So don't um think that this is something that happens overnight. If it does, great. But it's so much to unpack with this, and so I just commend you about taking on this cause and this passion. So, you know, having an organization, a lot of people want to start, trying to split hairs. Well, he's a man. How does he know? Or this and the other. What drives you to keep this foundation? What started you with the foundation?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So March 16th, actually, excuse me, March 16th, 2018,
Wow.
just close to about 3 years ago, I was selected for jury duty. And just like everybody else, I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh man, I got religious reasons. I got to work, any and every excuse I could send to the court to why I couldn't serve on the jury. And as fate would have it, I was still selected.
Mm-hmm.
But what happened during that court case is I sat and I listened as a 12 and a 15-year-old girl documented their experiences at the hands of their stepfather
Mm-hmm.
and how they were sexually assaulted, how they had been sexually abused during a 2 to 3 year period. And so I quickly went from not wanting to be there for my own selfish reasons, trying to work, trying to make commission. I worked in sales at the time, so I wanted to be on the sales floor so I could make commission. I quickly went from that to sitting in a courtroom, sitting there with 11 other jurors and listening to what I believed was a open and shut, guilty, close the book, send them to jail case.
Mm-hmm.
But after 7 days of deliberation, the lead juror stood up in the courtroom. The judge banged the gavel, bang, 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 and the verdict was not guilty.
Mm.
Wow.
And I was fired up because I felt that we had done everything, everything that we tell women to do had taken place. They spoke out. They told law enforcement. They went through a 2.5 year process to get to court. They had therapy sessions set up. They went through being homeless for a period of time. They went through all the trials and tribulations to get to the courtroom. And we dropped the ball. And for me, that was problematic. That was when I realized it's not enough to just say speak out. Because I was one of those people prior to that. I'd be the first to admit, well, if something happened to you, say something. I used to say that same crazy rhetoric. But what I realized after going through that case and then spending the next 2.5 years of my life learning everything that I could about sexual assault and how to be an advocate and where the loopholes were in what we were educating people on, I realized that the problem wasn't just about speaking out, but it was the lack of support across the board for what it really truly takes to get a prosecution, to get someone from I'm saying that this happened to they go through the entire legal process and now behind bars. And so that court case, that's what drives me. That's what leads me. That's what continues to push me. And then it was the research right? So when I found out that 28 million women a year are affected by sexual assault, that's 1 out of every 6 women. So if we put 6 women in a room and closed our eyes and said, any, meeny, miny, mo, one of them 6 women we land on will have some type of story similar to yours. One woman out of that 6, which it really is probably higher if more people report it, will have a story of some type of sexual abuse, harassment, or assault that has occurred in their lifetime. And then when I did more digging and I started talking about this on my social media, and I had family members DMing me, I had friends DMing me, I had women that I had done business with, I had been close friends, talked to for years, laughed, we buddy. That's little sis, that's big sis, that's the homie from across the way. Tell me, hey Jeremiah, I'm glad you're speaking out about this because this happened to me. That's what drives me. And that's what got me involved. And that's why every day I wake up, I dye my hair teal. I wear teal on if I can't get it on the tie, I got it on my jacket. If I ain't got it on my jacket, I got it on my shirt. I got teal somewhere because I'm very passionate about advocating for women and children who've gone through this. But that's what drives me. That's my passion. You have to excuse me, I get fired up and I get going. But I tell you now, I ain't worried about nobody splitting hairs. We can split hairs later after we get done doing what we got to do. That's just what it comes down to.
Well, that's what we like at the round table. We are transparent. We do not do we try to keep it formal and proper, but we want it to be real because this is a table where we sit down and we talk and we eat knowledge. So yes.
Charlie 2 just said, thank you for your dedication to being an advocate and an ally. You're touching some people right now, definitely. And I know there's a lot of people that are silent. And it's unfortunate because we see so many times in the news, that silence sometimes it becomes deadly. Have you, in your course of this path, and it's a hard path, I know that you're taking. Right. Have you ever come across any situations that really, I know all of them touch you, but really it was that one that you said, man, what more can I do?
I mean, all of them, I really feel like that, to be honest. The most recent that I'm dealing with now, I feel that way. Young lady, I personally took her to get her SANE exam, which is a sexual assault nurse examiner will do an exam to they call it informally a rape kit, but I prefer not to use that terminology regularly. But I took her to get her exam, right? And I walked through the process. I took her to file the police report. Like I was with her every step of the way. And I just recently got word that the case is going to be dismissed because the prosecutor doesn't feel there's enough evidence to move forward. It's things like that, right? It's the work itself is complex enough, right. But it's when you are continuously working to make these strides forward. And it seems as you get pushed back. I think that's what leads me every time to say, I wish I could do more. The court case that got me involved in all this, I wish I could do more. I talked to the prosecutor that was over that case, but for different reasons, it's not just within my ability to get in contact with the family. At the time they were minors, so certain things are sealed, and it's just, I always wish I can do more. And it's one of those things where as much as I can love on you and I can support you and I can help you, what people have to understand is this is a lifelong battle. It doesn't just magically disappear because you took some therapy. It doesn't magically disappear because, you found a new version of self-love for yourself. It may get better, but it is something that lasts forever. And so I always feel that I wish I could do more, be more, grow faster, spread more, just more, all the time.
I'm so glad you said that because it stays with you, and different events of your life brings it up just as strong. So, obviously it happened prior to me becoming a mother. Then I became a mother of 2 girls. So I had this whole other anxiety of you can't go there, don't be in a room, you know what I mean? And you had to say, okay, at some point this is still having too much power over you. And so it I don't care how much you grow, how much you change your atmosphere, you can move to a whole other state. It follows you your whole entire life.
And,
go ahead,
I'm
sorry.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut him off, but people, you made a great point, right? and I want to talk about that for a second.
Mhm.
Most sexual assault crimes are not about the sex act themselves. And that's what people often miss. You said the key word, and the key word is control. It's about having that control, that power, that ability to hold on to the reins of somebody's life. And that's what makes it difficult, because people, I hate when people say, well, why didn't somebody leave? That's one of the worst questions you can ask a survivor, because there's a lot of different reasons why somebody might not leave. But most times it's the psychological, the manipulative control that they have over the individual. And if it's not that, then it becomes economic, or it becomes socioeconomic, or it becomes their living environment, or it becomes the embarrassment or the guilt. There's a lot of different reasons why that people may stay stuck in a situation. And I always counter with this question: well, why haven't you left that job that you say is so toxic? Why you hadn't stopped hanging around those family members that you say treat you so bad?
Oh God!
If that's difficult, imagine someone not only controlling your life, but doing it with one of the most powerful tools there is, and that's sex. Right? If we really think about it, sex is one of the most powerful tools it is. Sex can make a grown man cry and make a strong woman get down on her knee. Can it not? Okay, so then if that's the case, that's one of the strongest strongholds you can have, because the chemical endorphins that you release during a sexual act, particularly if it was relatively pleasurable or not, are the same kind of endorphins that you release when you have a hit of cocaine. So why you hadn't stopped drinking? Oh, same reasoning. It's the same type of system, but people don't view it that way. And so I'm on a mission to re-educate how people view not only sex, but consent, and then sexual assault, sexual harassment, and sexual abuse.
I'm gonna let A Money answer what he was gonna say, but we got to put a pin in consent. Woo! Go ahead, Mr. Woods. Go ahead.
Well, you done kind of touched on one of the situational questions that I was going to propose to you.
Right.
With it being mentioned previously that a lot of people do suffer in silence, for you being a sexual assault advocate, how do you coach some of those people to leave that abusive relationship, or do you find it hard to get them to accept the help that you're trying to provide to them?
It's a little of both. So I've never really coached someone per se. I always allow them. Remember, the first thing I said is that these scenarios are about control. So I put the control as best I can in their hands. I always say, if this is what you would like to do, if you would like my assistance in doing X, Y, Z, let me know. So now the control is in your hand. And then I also have to realize the average individual, I believe the statistic is it takes 7 times to leave. So the first time is just getting the courage to try to get away. The second time may be, okay, now I got to put a plan together. The third time may be the plan didn't work the second time because I left my phone on the dresser. So it may take 7 times to really get it right and have everything in place to really, we watch movies, right? And we see how they plan for a year and a half before they do this one bank robbery. It's the same type of scenario when you're trying to get someone out of a situation such as sexual assault, right? Or sexual abuse, because oftentimes what has happened is they've developed a bond. So it may not be immediate. What we're used to seeing is the girl that's had one too many drinks at the bar, leaving, fumbling around with her keys with a really short skirt on, trying to get in her car, and the van pulls up and snatches her. Not saying that does not happen, but statistically, more often than not, it's intimate partner violence. It's people you know. It's people you work with, which means you're not thinking about an escape plan. You're not thinking about how to get out this situation. This is somebody you've grown an affinity to. You've developed a relationship with. And so what is the hardest thing to do most times is to get people to break that relationship. Not looking at this person as, well, that was my boyfriend that always picked me up from work when I didn't have a car. We don't cross that line now. It ain't boyfriend picking you up from work no more. He's just an abuser, period. End of story. Abuser, die. That's it. Nothing else. And so getting people to kind of break that relationship, and then having them see the self-worth and self-value in themselves and love themselves enough to say, I'm choosing me more than the other person. That's probably the most difficult thing, because that's all mental at that point. It's all about really getting into the psyche of the individual.
Yes. Yes.
Good point. Wow.
Very good point. And I think
Yeah.
it's important to use vocabulary. And I think you and all advocates, Charlie Tubes is a healthy sexual professional that's watching the show right now. It's about vocabulary
Yeah.
because my offenders were family members, and we weren't that much far in age, but they were older than me. And
Mhm.
the good old family term is, oh, they just being managed. Or the uncle that has issues that like little kids, particularly your daughters. Oh, don't let him be with him. Don't let him stay with the kids, or not. Don't let them go back there with them, or make sure somebody in the yard. You have all these kind of like, loopholes that you've made for the abuser and not
Right.
the victim. And so having the proper terms, the vocabulary is important too, to kind of help develop that escape, that
Yeah.
break from that situation.
I 100% agree. We have to. We've gotten really good in society, and people will crucify me for this, but as I said earlier, I ain't worried about splitting hairs. We've gotten really good in society at using words to tiptoe around the real issues. I see this term floating around all the time: non-consensual sex. What is non-consensual sex? That's rape. That's sexual assault. That's abuse. Like, what? Why are we trying to be nice about how we saying it? This is what's happening. And that's the reality. I think you're so right on terms. We have to get down to the nitty gritty. And sometimes people say, well, you shouldn't talk like that. And I say, well, it's amazing to me. Entertainers can get on award shows, go on radio interviews. They can talk about any and everything and how they slang this and move that and drop this, pop that, turn around, drop it, make it wiggle like that. But I can't say, don't touch them if they ain't asked to be touched, because that's assault. Stop playing with me. Man, bye. Stop playing with me. I refuse. No, they can speak how they want to speak. I'm going to speak freely how I want to speak, because abusers ain't worried about your feelings when they assault you, right?
That's right.
They ain't worried about how it make you feel. So why would I be worried about how you feel when I'm looking to liberate, educate, and hopefully evaporate some of the things that are steaming up and piping up all over the U.S. No, I'm gonna use the exact language of what it needs to be, so you can understand exactly what's going on. I don't want to leave no gray area, so you can be confused and say, well, non-consensual, maybe that means at one point. No. You're rape. You shouldn't have had your hands on nobody. I want to get straight to the point, so we know exactly where we at with the conversation.
I know that's right. Good word right there. And that's what Charlie Tube was saying. She was like, "Say that, sir.
Say that, sir."
Say that, sir."
I told you I get fired up, but my blood pressure started to raise. Cause we're not gonna play no. I'm not playing no games with folks. Why? Ain't nothing to be played about. Let's get right down to what it is, so we can really do the work that needs to be done.
Right. So talk about the partnerships that you have as well, because I know you can't do it alone. And I know, throughout the course of your years doing this, you formed some great partnerships to help further the cause, educate. Let's talk about them as well.
Yeah. So currently I am working with several providers to hopefully be able to provide job placements. And I have also partnered with different therapists across the city to be able to hopefully facilitate therapeutic services for individuals, because we are still in the funding stage. We're still raising funds to build out our full facility to be able to do it all in one place. But I've made great relationships. Spotify has been wonderfully nice to us and allowing us to be able to run different ads and certain things of that nature. The city of Sumter County, we are working on a pending partnership to be able to get land and build this facility. So a lot of great individuals have come together. There's a guy that I've met named Brian, and I don't know what the name of his organization is, but I met him speaking at an event, and he has been so impactful in making significant donations through his nonprofit organization to mine for the care packages that we send out and for the kits we use. I partner with the Tough Project, which is a nonprofit organization that helps women who've been through sex trafficking and that experience, and we give things to them to assist. So, I've been just stretching my arms out like tentacles, and whatever and whoever that I can touch to be able to provide some services. That's what we do. But we're working on some great projects, and I'm really excited about it.
Wow, that's good to hear. I like to hear that when it's collaboration and not competition, and especially when you have a worthwhile goal and vision. That's very important. Thank you for sharing that, because I know our people definitely wanted to know that. Charlie too said, "Fire up, burn it down." I love it. I love it.
What people have to realize, and I tell other nonprofit leaders this as well, because sometimes we get caught in this hole of, it's only so many dollars to circulate and all this other stuff that people get in their head. And what I tell people is, when you talk about 28 million, let's just say, hypothetically, I was able to help 1 million women a year by myself, my organization. We don't need no other assistance. We got that. Mm-hmm. It would take 28 years for me to help the first 28 million I found out about. Wow. There's plenty of people. Like, it's room for everybody to get in, roll our sleeves up, and do some work. And what I tell people is, we don't all have to do the same role. I'm a warrior. I'm not asking folks to go toe to toe, because I'm that one. I'll check you in the middle of the street if I see something that ain't moving the right way. But I ain't asking everybody to be that. If you're a grant writer, let's partner up and you write the best grants you ever wrote in your life, and you keep the project going with the funding coming through. If you are, let's just say you're a pastry chef, well, you make sure every morning we got fresh biscuits to pass out to the women. Whatever you can do, let's get in that role and do it. Let's collaborate and let's tackle the problem. I tell people that there's no need for, it ain't like it's only 2 pieces of honey left on the whole planet and we all trying to sell them same 2 pieces of honey. No, it's a lot of work to be done. We can all get together and work together and make some change together. I'm all for collaboration 100% all the time. I love it.
Hey, money down there thinking, boy. I can see. I see the wheels turning.
Got his eyebrows together.
Cat been dropping some knowledge today. I am thoroughly impressed. Hey,
I thank you. Hey, man, when the fact checker's impressed, that's a good thing.
Yeah, buddy.
It means I'm on my way. I'm doing that right.
Hey, Mr. Woods, I got a question for you. And this may sound a little weird. I'm trying to see the best way of phrasing this. Being that you deal with a lot of women and you are available to help them or attempt to help them through their trauma, do you come across any that didn't actually view their particular situation as sexual abuse? They were pretty much, I don't want to say they were blind to it, but just assumed that it was just something that they had to actually go through.
So in the space I'm in now, with us being a newer organization, I can't say I've directly had that experience. I have read and heard and been around a lot of experiences of that nature. I won't say that I directly have had it. What I often more times see, though, is more so a general acceptance of this is just what has happened and that's just it. And what that comes from is being tired, not wanting to fight, not wanting to go through the entire process. I mean, I'm dealing with that right now. The individual that my organization was trying to help, she's just tired. And that was literally her words. She's like, I'm tired. I don't want to go to the police department anymore. I don't really want to talk about it anymore. I want to move on. And being an advocate, you have to accept people's wishes, even when you know that there should be some vindication there. And I think that kind of touches to what your question is that, it's a lot. And oftentimes, women got to deal with a lot of things as it is already. But to put that on top of it, I see it more time than not. People just don't want to go through that process. You think about that court case I was involved in. It was a 2.5 year process to get to court. Wow. 2.5, that's a long time to continuously have to retell this story, relive this traumatic event. And that's where re-victimization comes in, because you got to tell the story over and over and over again. And when you think about post-traumatic stress syndrome, I read something that said the same level of post-traumatic stress that soldiers go through is 30% of women who are affected by sexual assault, I believe that's the number, have that same level of stress, which means they're having the same type of anxiety, depression, and stress of someone who's been to war. Think about that. We get mad at people for blowing firecrackers because it reminds a soldier of war. But think about having to really retell a traumatic event and then having someone question you. Well, last time you said you were touched on the left side. Was it the left or right? Well, the way the brain works with trauma, you may block out which side it was, because the idea is your mind is trying to shield you from all these negative experiences being replayed in your mind. So yeah, man, I've definitely have dealt with that, just not wanting to necessarily keep going through the process and keep having to fight, so to speak. But yeah, that's a very sticky part of doing this kind of advocacy work, because you do get very tied into really trying to vindicate the individuals you work with, and sometimes that just is not the opportunity that you will have in the particular scenario. So,
and it's much of awareness and knowledge that's been brought to the forefront, being able to speak about it, because there were 10, 15 years ago, you didn't have this type of a platform, or you didn't have the type of support to say, hey, this is wrong. So as many advancements as we've had and moving forward, the system hasn't changed. And so when you have, the Me Too movement and, Black Lives Matter movements and these type of protests, you have the sexual assault and abuse, protests. You don't understand that the system hasn't changed. It hasn't changed for anything, from receiving justice for criminal activity that is normalized, as far as, say, robbing a bank, or illegal shootings or police brutality, to sexual assault and abuse. And there's so many thin layers that they've sliced it, so one doesn't feel as bad as the other, but that victim is the same hurt.
Right. And I think you touched on it perfectly. I was saying this in another interview that I did, and I think it's worth repeating. The problem with sex education is that we spent too much time talking about intercourse and not enough time talking about consent and what that really looks like, and why it's complex to prosecute these cases, right? So you think about I'll give you a very common scenario. A couple of people get together, take Ubers over to someone's house for a party, whatever the case. We drinking, we doing yada yada yada. We getting in our bag, we in our groove, right? And there's some type of sexual intercourse, right? Well, from a legal perspective, you can't consent if you're intoxicated. But we don't talk about that. But what happens is when you try to take that to a prosecutor, and let's just say it seems as if you wanted it. So let's just say you never said no and you weren't blacked out drunk. A prosecutor will have a very hard time prosecuting that, even if you're saying it was not consensual. A prosecutor will struggle to get that prosecuted, because the argument will be, well, if you never made it clear that you weren't consenting, and you weren't fully able to give consent, we don't really know what is the truth. It becomes he said, she said. And you could prosecute wrong. You could put somebody in jail wrongly that didn't commit any crime, or you could put somebody in there who really should be in there. And so most times they're not willing to take that gamble. And so this is why I tell people we have to be more focused on having a conversation about consent, how to manage and handle yourself. I'm all for having a good time. But I told my wife, I said, when I go out now socially, typically, I don't think I'm getting in some water. I didn't even cut back on even juice. I don't want to have too much sugar in my system and get dizzy and can't think straight. Just give me some water, so that I can be clear in what decisions that I'm making. And that's why it's important to have trusted individuals around you, so that if you feel like you want to be a little bit more loose, you can do that and not have your freedom or your consent or your control taken away, because that's really the problem. That's what makes it so complex for most sexual assault cases to be prosecuted, is it's not a clear area of was there consent or was there not consent. And that's what needs to be talked about, because sexual assault, the definition is really very simple. It's coercion, manipulation, or any type of sexual touch, feel, or intercourse that was not consented to. We make it very complex, but really it's very simple. If I put my hand anywhere on your body in a sexual manner and you didn't want me to, and you didn't give me consent, I have sexually assaulted you. It's not a hard concept, but we don't teach it that way. We say, oh, boys gonna be boys. Oh, but she just showing her wild oats. Okay, no. All of that language is what builds on the rape pyramid, because if boys would just be boys, if we're using that logic, then technically, if I decide that I want to try to have sex with every woman in the room, just because that's what I feel like I could do as a man, then you're condoning to a degree sexual assault, sexual abuse, and that's how these things continue. So that's really where the focus has to be, in my opinion, is we have to re-educate how we talk about sex and what actually is consent. What does that look like? How do you have healthy consent in a relationship, even if you married or not married, or y'all just sleeping around? There should be a conversation. If we just in a casual sexual relationship, there should be a conversation, and there should be an understanding of what's accepted and what's not accepted. We'll talk about everything in the world. It's 9 trillion podcasts out there about every single thing, all the way down to how to pick your toenail the right way. But we don't want to talk about, can we consent with sex? It's crazy to me. I don't understand it. It baffles me.
It's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's uncomfortable, and it makes people accountable.
Well, and not only that, where do we as a culture or people for that matter, when can we start actually having these conversations? And I know Charlie too is going to chime in on this as well, with our young people. So it starts at a young age and it grows from that. And it's not something that, you know, you're picking up from your friends or whatever sort, but actually to have this type of dialogue with young people so they can understand, so they're not making mistakes at a young age that's going to carry throughout the rest of their lives, and they lose opportunities such as scholarships, the right person, or just be traumatized for the rest of their life. Have you ever come across that, or has that discussion come up with between you and some of your peers in this industry?
Yeah, people argue back and forth when is the right time. I say when you see the behavior is a great time to start having the conversation. So my oldest son is 11 and my youngest son is 1. I have the conversation with both of them. Now, you know, the 1-year-old, the conversation is a little different. It's just something as simple as, no, don't touch her like that. You know, it's getting into the subconscious to put in your mind certain touches are not appropriate. Now, for the 11-year-old, it's okay. I get you at the age where you want to pass little love licks, and that's how you flirt. And y'all think it's cute. Okay, cool. Here's what's not acceptable. It's not cool to put your hand here. As a matter of fact, don't touch her or him or anybody else if they didn't ask to be touched. And so it's not so much just getting into the deep weeds of, well, this is sex, and this is how you have it, and this is when you need to do it. No, it's about laying the framework of consent in general. And then building on that framework. So then when it gets to a point, like even now, I'm married to my wife, but I still ask my wife, hey, is this something you want to do? Because what happens is we fall into this place where we feel some type of entitlement, like we owe something. Just because you married me don't mean you got to automatically just be throwing it around every time I want it. That ain't how it works, and vice versa. Yeah, you know, that's how we talk, right? It's like, yeah, man, as soon as you get mad, boy, anytime you want it got to go down. No, that's what? No, that ain't how that works. You don't even take out the trash like that. As soon as you said I do, you don't even take out the trash just every time she wants taken out, but she just supposed to open up to you whenever it's cool. No. You have to have a conversation and garner that consent. And guess what? Consent is not hard to get when there's respect involved. The problem is most people have lost accountability and refuse to have respect for their peers. It's baffling to me. I'm sorry, I'm gonna get off my soapbox. I promise.
No, go ahead, stand on it, bro.
It is baffling to me how we are in Women's Month and we talk about we appreciate women, we love women, but we don't respect them enough to say, do you want to be intimate? Not, hey girl, come on, give me some of that thing right now. No, I was raised by, my daddy was, as an older man. My granddaddy was an older man. You had to have a little swag about yourself, how you position that thing.
Yes.
Hey, listen, is this a good time for me and you to, put some respect on how you talking to that woman about how you want what you want. When you do that, getting consent ain't hard. I mean, people say, it's, that ain't sexy. Imagine you in the middle of setting up the moment and you talking about, is this what you want to do? Not, well, that's because it ain't sexy because you don't know how to be sexy. You got to put it in the right way. Say, listen, I want to know what would you like? What are your boundaries? I guarantee you, if you start doing that, you wouldn't have to keep jumping from bed to bed because the one bed you in would be the best bed you ever been in because it's respect, it's consent, it's a different level of intimacy. But people don't love themselves, much less other people. So they can't have that type of, that's a different level of conversation, because you really got to be confident in you, love yourself, be able to look. People can't sit in silence because they don't like the noise of their own mind. That's why they can't have a conversation with other people. But listen, again, I told you I get fired up. I be ready to. Because folks have so many weak excuses for why they just can't do better. It's really not that complex. But
they wasn't ready. They were not ready.
I told you I get fired up. Sorry, I was a little tired before we started the broadcast, but I swear to God, I done got fired up now. I'm ready to rock.
I'm waiting for you to come out that jacket over there. You
He ain't coming out of that jacket. He ain't coming out of that jacket. That's that swagger he was talking about. He ain't coming out of that jacket now.
Yeah, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna adjust, but we gonna stay together. But listen here, I'm fired up.
Oh man, I love this. I love this. Thank you for bringing that up, the conversation portion of it, because it is something that we tend not to do. We don't talk. We don't communicate with each other, and especially our better halves, whoever it is, and such. And I like the fact that you pointed out that fallacy about every time, after you get married, da 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 da.
Yeah, no.
20-some years, Adrian. Am I right?
Oh, you're certainly right.
That's the fact.
Certainly right. Yes, sir. I signed off on that.
Pitbull.
I'll sign off on that. I sure will. Because one thing I'll say is, Mr. Woods is definitely an advocate for promoting women, because women, are a documented victim of this type of behavior and violence, but men are as well. And so, sometimes people want to cap it as little boys. Oh, well, they're a little boy. No, this is happening to grown men right now. And you talk about a space that's not safe for them to talk and come forward, because everybody's gonna raise an eyebrow. Like, you're a grown man. What do you mean you didn't want to have sex? You're a grown man. What do you mean she was touching on you and you didn't want it to? It's like, it's only accepted if it's a man against a man. But if it's a woman against a man, it seems like, well, are you crazy? Like, who does that? But it's breaking those barriers, changing the way that you're thinking, retraining your thought process. It is a violation to anyone who does not want it, whether it is a male or a woman on that receiving end. If they don't want it, they are not. It's not for you to do it. And this whole rape culture that I just want to bring up to you, see how you feel about it. The last draw for me was the Pepe Le Pew thing. If you guys aren't aware, family, they were protesting about Pepe Le Pew, saying that it was promoting the rape culture. And I was heated because I felt insulted that you would speak up and speak out for a cartoon, but you're not that vocal for a live person. You would put that much energy, that much money behind for it to get social media and print, but you're not doing that for people and women and children in your own communities. I was very insulted, and I spoke out about it. And I'm just tired of the people who want to get behind these studio causes. So, you got the Pepe Le Pew cartoon, you got the changing the name of this and the look of this and all that. That's to me is pointless. It's pointless. Talk to some real people, do something that's going to impact somebody's life, not that. I said it on the show a couple of times, wannabes don't make honey. And these to me are wannabes. They just want to be a part of something. They want to be heard, but they really ain't trying to put no work in, And so you find them the ones fanning that fire,
Hold up,
so how do you
drop that one more time? I apologize.
I knew you was gonna do that.
You said wannabes don't make honey.
Wannabes don't make no honey. Wannabes don't make no honey. All right. And so, Mr. Woods, how does this rape culture affect your actual meaningful cause? How do you see that influences what you're trying to do in a negative way?
Mm.
Um, what it does is becomes a distraction. Um, Not to say that what we see on television, what we hear in music, and all those things is not impactful. But I'm a big believer of Sigmund Freud with the subconscious mind. I think that on a subconscious level, if we start doing the work as a society, as people, as children, as young people, as they grow up, then you will change the type of content that they make as adults, right? So it was adults for the most part, a relative, maybe teenage. I don't know. I don't know what age they were, but assuming older teenagers to adults drawing these cartoons and having these shows and running these studios and so forth and so forth. Well, if we change what is and is not acceptable, and we also have to look at the time period. During the time of Pepe Le Pew, when that was a popular cartoon, women didn't have a lot of say. Women were viewed more so as property, right? Even the construct of marriage, when you really think about it.
Right.
And again, this is, people don't really want to open up these can of worms because they want to stay comfortable. I don't care about being comfortable. If you even look at marriage and the construct of historically, marriage was about gaining wealth and expanding your kingdom, and women were used as pawns in that chess game. Yep. So if you want to really have that conversation, then let's not just stop at little cartoon animals that ain't nobody watched in 25 plus years. Let's have real conversations about what we're teaching in our society. What is our value system? And what do those conversations look like? And why is this not a part of the curriculum in school? Why is this not a part of daily conversation? And why is it so complex to have a conversation? Because we can get, again, we can get on TV, we get on radio, we get on everything else and talk about every single aspect of sex except consent and respect for each other within sex. It baffles me.
Right.
So it does, what it does is it makes it harder for real conversations to be had, because now we're debating back and forth about something, in my opinion, that's relatively minuscule in comparison to bigger issues. Like, I believe it was California recently shut down their sexual victims unit, the SVU unit.
Yeah.
And they cited lack of funding as part of the reasoning. That to me is more important. You want to put some dollars behind something. We need these special detectives, because a sexual assault is not the same as a physical assault, in the sense of, I ran up to you and hit you in the head with a baseball bat. Well, we have a weapon, the baseball bat, that has blood on it. Does that blood and that DNA match the two people involved? Lot simpler than, did this person potentially have some type of unwanted intercourse or touching or feeling or coercion or manipulation? It's a lot harder to prosecute one versus the other in a, we'll say, a utopia of a scenario. So what it does is it makes it harder to have those real conversations, because people get so passionate about something that's a microcosm of the macro. That may have been a long-winded answer, but I think you get where I'm coming from. It's not that it ain't important. It's just on a scale of 1 to 10, it's like, well, we really need to just be talking about why it was okay to have this as a cartoon as a whole, and the thought process behind that. Not so much just this one particular. I think Pepe Le Pew was a stunt, wasn't it?
Right.
I ain't worried about no cartoon stunt. I deal with real life people, humans. I ain't worried about no cartoon stunt.
And that's what you need to say. What was the thought process, and why was this okay in 1950, and why is it mirrored in 2021?
Right. What kind of character was this supposed to portray? Exactly. What when you drew this cartoon skunk, what kind of human was this portraying? What was the traits and the correlation? Because if you look at any cartoon, ideally that cartoon is loosely based on some type of real life individual scenario or attributes. So if that's the case, the real conversation needs to be, who was this cartoon skunk? Who was this supposed to be mirroring and imaging? That's the conversation that I think is more important than the skunk itself. I ain't thought about no Pepe Le Pew and since I was a little boy running around in diapers. I mean, Pepe Le Pew ain't even on my mind. No.
I like this. Look cute. Oh man, that good point. Good point. Hey, money.
Yes, sir.
Hey, are you soaking it in? This has
Oh
been amazing.
man, it has been. It has been. I done learned a lot, and I keep learning a lot with all these different guests. But you had clarified a lot of things and had me looking at certain situations in a different aspect that I haven't really thought of before. So I greatly appreciate you taking the time out to talk to our guests tonight, talk to our
Thank you. Thank
followers
you.
tonight.
Thank you.
Yep, I was trying to look and see if there was anyone else that had a question. And it's amazing too, because many times our guests they'll come on and they'll have a question afterwards, and we may even be off. And the fortunate thing is this particular show we love to broadcast even after it ends, being live here on Facebook as well as on YouTube. So with that being said, can you share with everyone how they can get in contact with you and learn more about your organization, if they can assist in regards to your organization? They may even have questions on how to handle their own situation that they're going through.
Mhm.
How can they
Yeah.
contact you?
Easiest way is if you have your cell phone, you can text TEAL, TEAL to 770-874-1808. Again, that's 770-874-1808. That will send you a link. It will take you directly to our donation page, but also if you're on that page, you can just click the three little dots and lines at the top of the website and go straight to the home page, and it'll take you to the contact page and all that information. If you're on social media, it's at The Hands Off Foundation Inc. INC. So everything is regular spelling. And if you go on Google and you type The Hands Off Foundation Inc., just like that, we'll come right up, and you can go to our Facebook page, Instagram page, and to our website. That's the best way to get in contact. If you have questions, want to support, just need more information, or just curious how you can support that. That's the best and easiest way to do it.
I want to
Mm,
point out too that this is a new foundation. This is a new foundation. This is a movement that has made strides and influenced a lot of people in the area, um, in the community, amongst us as well. And look how long he's been doing this. If you're not aware of it, Mr. Woods, what's your actual founding date? What's your actual date that you started?
We started, if you want to go by articles of incorporation, I believe it was May of 2020. So the organization itself, I've been doing the groundwork, building, learning, educating, and becoming the best version of myself for about 2.5 years. But the organization itself, a little less than a year is where
Mhm.
where we've been at. Yeah,
mm,
just a little less than a year. But my belief in that is just get started. Is my mentor when I was in high school? I never forget this. It was a quote, Mike Howard, and I wish that I could get it just right. But he said, "You don't have to be great to get started, but you have to get started to be great." And I think that we spend so much time arguing about the nuances of how to do it, when to do it, what should this, that, and the third. I tell folks, because I'm a lot of people around me, like my family, stuff like that, things like that, highly educated folks, and they know a lot and got plenty of degrees and all that good stuff. I tell them, I might spit a verb. I might not have my subject verb agreement together all the way all the time, but guess what? I'm working. We can get the sentence right. We can get the typo right, but let's work. In the meantime, let's help people. Let's meet them where they are, so that we can go
mm,
forth and do something. So I one of the things I was very avid about with my board of directors was, look, while we getting everything together and it's getting prim and proper and just right, and we building it out the way it needs to be and getting the systems in place, I'm still gonna work. I'm still gonna go out here. I'm gonna run my mouth. I'm gonna talk about the problem, and I'm gonna get people involved. And so when everything is just right, and we ready to really cut the ribbon and open up them doors, we've got a true community coming behind us to say, I've been supporting you all the way, and we're going to continue to support, because that's what it's really all about. At the core of it all, like I said, it's about building a community that will not stand for 28 million women a year being affected by sexual assault.
I
mm,
was amazed. That was one of the things after researching. I was amazed that it hadn't been that long. I'm like, oh my God. Like everything's in place. And the testimonies and the good things that people are saying and commenting. You may not get it and you may not know it, but the community is listening and they are appreciative of Hands Off. I'm telling you now.
Well, listen, I don't know who started cutting onions in here, but you gonna get my balls wet, and I'm telling you now, don't get me up here looking all boo-boo soppy. And then we had a great interview, and now you finna mess me up.
Well, that is my
But now,
job. That is my job. We take it personal. We keep it to the personal part, and
Definitely.
we like it. We love it. That's the realness of our show. That's what we do.
I really do appreciate it. No, thank you. And the big thing for me, and I always say this, is my focus is I want to be able. I talk about a dash, right? You're gonna have the day that you was born and the day that you're gonna die. My granddaddy used to say, all men got to die. It's inevitable. At some point, you'll leave this world. Well, my focus is that dash. I want to give as much as I can doing that dash so that when I'm on that tombstone to have it go, I don't want people to have to stand in my UG and fumble over words trying to figure out something good to say. I want people to say, no, my life was able to be changed or helped to impact it or pushed along this journey because somebody was bold enough to just care. That's it. You ain't got to be perfect. Just care. Care enough to check your homeboy in the locker room when he make a joke that's very rapish. Like, that ain't it, bro. We ain't gonna have that kind of conversation. Not around me. Care enough. You ain't got to become Superman or Batman. You ain't got to be a vigilante, but you do have to just say, I care enough to make small changes to hopefully be a part of a bigger change.
Wow.
And he's only 24 years old. I know Robinson, she keeps hitting me about that, and I'm astounded as well because of the wisdom that you're setting forth.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he got that old soul.
Yes, he does.
He got that old soul.
And what happens when you hang around the older folks? You learn a little something.
There you go. And I want to confirm also, Charlie 2 said, yes, Lord. I want to confirm the actual website as well, so our family can actually go check it out. And if they want to donate, make sure that they're going to the Hands Off Foundation Inc., correct?
That's correct. So if you type it in, because there is another organization that's called Hands Off Foundation, but they're in Australia. So I want to make sure, what I tell people is make sure you look for the white and the teal. Look for teal, the color teal. That's we run it all through our site, but it's www.handsofffoundation.org. Handsofffoundation.org. If you go to handsofffoundation.org, first thing you should see when you click the link is a pop-up of our logo, spins around, it's white with teal, boom, lets you know you made it, and then from there you should be able to matriculate through there. If you don't see that, or you don't see my scraggly face somewhere along the lines, you're in the wrong spot. Abort, come on back, try it again.
Well, I'm gonna put it all here to make sure everybody go there so they can see you and your organization, everyone that supports you, all of the employees and the workers and those that tirelessly give to this cause. Man, this has been amazing. I don't know about y'all, but I've been fed today.
I've been fed.
Me too.
And with that being said, it's that time once again that we hate to come to. It's that time in which we got to shut the doors. We got to go and put things away. But we hope that you get a chance to follow this particular podcast, this show, because there's a lot of definite nuggets, as the old folks would say, that you need to definitely listen to. If you get a chance, share it amongst your friends and your family as well, because it might be someone that is in your family that may be feeling this way and just does not know how to speak it to existence. Let it be known and definitely be educated by it. Thank you, Charlie 2. We appreciate you as well. Charlie 2 just wanted to share with us. She thoroughly enjoyed being educated again at the Roundtable. All right, family. Well, another one in the books.
Another one in the book.
Another one.
Melly Mel.
Yes, man. Yes, sir.
Queen. A Money. The king of fact checking. And our guest, Mr. Jeremiah Bowtie Woods. We thank you once again for joining us at the Roundtable Podcast Show. I'm your boy, Kerry Digsby, and we will be signing off. Love y'all, mean it. See you soon.
Thank you.